Originally from Honolulu, Hawaii. I've spent about 10, 11 years outside the States now, half that in Europe and South America, and the last half of that in Asia, predominantly in Korea, although I travel around quite a bit for my job. I was working at universities for a while in Korea. I was working at originally Gyeongbuk Dehakyo, Gyeongbuk National University, then Seongjungwan, and then Yonsei. Primarily focused on teaching public speaking as well as academic type writing. And I transitioned over into teaching more business type presentations, and gradually through conferences and other things moved from the academic world to the corporate world, which landed me at LAM Institute, which is a boutique communications consulting firm. We work all over Asia, 12 countries. We've got about 30 people working with us. We do training in 10 languages on a whole variety of corporate training suites, everything from negotiations to public speaking to business writing to intercultural communications and so on and so forth. Anywhere from one-on-one executive coaching to large groups and conferences. We are the everything in the kitchen sink of persuasive communications. You know, if you need to talk to someone and do it in a better way and present yourself better, in any situation that involves persuasion, that's where we come in. In business, there was an estimate now that it used to be technical skills were what differentiated us, but now it's something along the lines of 50, 60, 70% of business success comes from our interpersonal and intercommunicational skills, not from those technical skills, because quite simply, everyone's got the technical skills now. It's no longer the differentiating factor. It's replicable, whereas the so-called soft skills, which are becoming less and less soft and more hard science, are very much something that can be taught but are not frequently being taught. Especially something like, for example, active listening. Most people have 0 hours of formal training in active listening, although we spend about 60% of our day doing it, of our work day. Most common here, of course, public speaking, public presentations, and this can be either internal or external, with external clients, or just doing internal presentations, because a lot of the companies that we work with are either multinationals with offices here, or Korean companies that have branched out globally, predominantly. And along those lines, not only public speaking, but especially in Korea, the Korean companies that are branching out globally are having intercultural communication issues with Korean managers abroad, as well as foreign staff that they're bringing into the country. So we're doing intercultural communications training as well as intercultural negotiations training with them, in addition to our public speaking suite that we do with pretty much everyone. There's a perception that to be a good communicator, I need to have a high language level. And from a quantitative perspective, the reality is the opposite. If we look at actually Steve Jobs, a great communicator, do you know what grade level his keynote speeches are speaking at?
I think it was grade 5 or something.
Grade 5, yeah. He's speaking at a grade 5 level vocabulary. His average sentence length is just 10 words, whereas you go to Bill Gates' earlier speeches. Now, he's getting better now, but his earlier speeches, they were at the, late high school, early university level, and they were much, much less comprehensible. So, really, to be a good speaker in English, you need to have a 5th grade level, a middle school level vocabulary, and most of the professionals we work with have at least that. So it's more an issue of confidence rather than technical ability, and it's getting them over that hurdle. Get out and network. That's South Korea Business Central, excellent. Get out and network as much as possible, because even more so than in the West, networks are important worldwide. And it seems almost trite and cliche to repeat this oft-repeated point, but within Asia, relationships are the cornerstone of business. The bottom line is important, the details are important, but none of those details will occur unless you have someone at the company pushing for you. Almost all of our clients come through, we develop a relationship with an individual at that company, either from a friend of a friend type situation or otherwise, and that person is essentially they're our representative at that company. They are the person leading the way, bringing us into that company, which, if we do a good job, which they believe we will, reflects very positively on their career, that they've brought in someone externally who's a good trainer, a good staff. But that relationship is what pushes it forward initially. Don't only get involved with expat networking. There is a tendency, you get out there and you see this large group of expats all networking together, talking to each other, helping each other, and that is very helpful. But without Korean connections, without the attempts to learn the language, to know the culture, in some small measure at the very least, at the very minimum, you're not going to get very far. Out of the whole expatriate population in Korea, only about 4 or 5% are within the business community. Did you know that? It's a shockingly small amount of the, I believe it's now 200,000. Don't quote me on that number. It's something over 100,000. It's something like 2% of the population now is expatriate, and only less than 10% is in what we would consider business, multinational business environment. It's a small amount, very small. So you're really talking to a very small audience if your networking community is only expatriate based. You've got to get out there and get the local connections by understanding the culture minimally, and preferably by learning some of the language, if not more so.